Hey, Scott Jordan here for Jancast number 205 for Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. And if I haven't talked to you or you haven't seen me in a while, Happy New Year. Looking forward to 2026, all kinds of new stuff going on. But I thought, well, maybe do a recap since we've kind of gotten into pathogen control over the years and ask a simple question. What pathogens do we need to worry about in 2026? There's a lot of stuff to worry about, and there's a lot of pathogens to worry about. I mean, measles is one we've been talking about quite a bit. Hasn't quite been a huge outbreak to worry about, but most of the disinfectant products that we're going to talk about, they're effective against the top three pathogens in 2026, are also able to combat measles. So let's get into it. So we want to talk about the three top pathogens that we think are important to watch out for in 2026. And from a health standpoint, certainly important to make sure you're doing what you need to do to protect yourself. So the first one is the easy one, influenza, otherwise known as the flu. So we start out with the seasonal flu. It's bad right now. I personally don't normally get vaccinated, nothing against vaccines. I'm just kind of I don't go to the doctor very much. I'm very fortunate that I hardly ever get sick, and I'll probably jinx myself right there. But obviously, vaccinations are very important. But the other thing you need to do is use a proper disinfectant. And that's pretty simple because most of the disinfectants out there, and we have a whole bunch of them, are effective against the seasonal flu. Most important, though, is use a product that is effective. Wash your hands a lot. That's also very important. But the most important thing for this one and the next one, which is norovirus, is just stay home, will you? Don't go into work or go into school or whatever and spread it around to everybody else. Stay home. That's the most important thing. So the next one, number two, is norovirus or the stomach flu. It's the leading cause of foodborne illness in the United States, and it's extremely contagious. So this one's another one where you have to wash your hands. Alcohol sanitizers are not necessarily as effective as they might be for other things. So use a disinfectant. Again, we've got plenty that do this. So as far as the second thing is the easiest, wash your hands a lot, wash your hands a lot. And then actually the third one's the easiest, is just stay home. Okay? Don't come to work. Don't go to school. Obviously, a good idea to wear face masks. I'm not really into it, but occasionally I do wear it, depending upon where I'm going on an airplane or anything else. So the third one is RSV, and this is a real serious one for adults. So keep an eye out on that and make sure you kind of know what's going on around you. There are plenty of disinfectant products in our line and others that are effective against RSV. Certainly no reason why you shouldn't be using a product that is effective. Airflow is very important also. Indoor air quality, we've talked about that in past Jancasts with clean air and some of those people. If we had known what we know now about indoor air quality, the whole pandemic thing would have been completely different. So keep that in mind. Frequent hand washing again. Most important thing is don't spread it around. Wash your hands a lot and use a product that's effective. So as you know, in past Jancasts, I've utilized a AI co-host, and I've decided that it's a good idea to give that co-host a name. So since sometimes it's a woman, sometimes it's a man, we're going to name our new co-host Nova, and let's hear what Nova thinks about these three pathogens I just talked about. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Let me know how you like the format of the show. And here's what Nova has to say.
Okay, let's talk about the invisible world around us. In our schools, our offices, pretty much everywhere we go, we're surrounded by microscopic threats that can seriously mess up our lives. So if we want to be prepared, we've got to know what we're up against. Let's dive into the biggest everyday health threats we're watching for 2026.
So, what are we really looking at here? Which bugs cause the most chaos in our daily lives? And more importantly, is there a clear plan to deal with them? That's the big question we're going to answer.
And look, we're not just guessing. We're pulling all this information straight from the source, a pathogen watch document that spells out exactly what the threats are and the official playbook for how to handle them. Because, just pointing out a problem is only half the job. This is really all about getting a plan, understanding the simple, effective strategies that can protect our communities, and just keep things running. All right, let's jump into our first threat. First up is an old adversary, influenza. Yep, this seasonal flu. We're all so used to hearing about it that it's actually easy to forget just how powerful it is and how much disruption it causes every single year. The thing about the flu is its impact goes way beyond just feeling awful for a few days. It's an incredibly contagious virus, and it hits in these predictable waves every year. That means empty desks at school, empty chairs at the office, which makes it a huge logistical and economic headache year after year. So, how do we fight back? Well, it's a multi-layered defense. It starts with vaccination, but then we add smart cleaning with the right kind of disinfectants. We improve air quality, getting fresh air in to disperse those virus particles. And maybe most importantly, we build a culture where staying home when you're sick is just what you do. It's a really powerful combination. Okay, let's shift gears to our second threat. And trust me, this one is a completely different kind of beast. We're talking about norovirus. You've probably heard it called the stomach flu, and it is absolutely notorious for how fast and aggressively it can tear through a community. There's a reason norovirus is such a high priority. For one, it's the #1 cause of foodborne illness. Plus, it is unbelievably contagious. This virus is tough. It can hang out on surfaces for a long time, just waiting. And in shared spaces like a daycare, a restaurant, or a cruise ship, it spreads like wildfire. Okay, hang on. Everyone stop for a second, because this is probably the single most important thing to know about norovirus. You know that alcohol-based hand sanitizer we all use constantly? Well, it's not nearly as effective against this particular virus. That one fact can completely change how you approach hygiene. It's a real game changer. So if sanitizer isn't our best weapon here, what is? Good old-fashioned soap and water. And I mean really washing, scrubbing for a full 20 to 30 seconds. Beyond that, control means using specific disinfectants that are proven to work and enforcing a really strict rule. If you've been sick, you stay home for a full 48 hours after you feel better. And that brings us to our third pathogen on the watch list, RSV, which stands for respiratory syncytial virus. Now, for a lot of us, getting RSV might just feel like a bad cold, but for certain groups, especially the very young and older adults, it can be a much, much more serious problem. RSV makes this list for a couple of big reasons. First, it's really contagious and spreads easily. But the main reason is how dangerous it can be for our most vulnerable populations, babies and the elderly. And just like the flu, it tends to show up in predictable seasonal waves that we need to be ready for. Now, here's the good news. The playbook for controlling RSV is going to look pretty familiar. Vaccination is a key tool for those who are most at risk. The rest of the strategy, though, it's exactly what we do for the flu. Use the right disinfectants, improve ventilation, stay home when you're sick, and wash your hands. This overlap is a huge advantage for us. Because that overlap is the key. It lets us stop thinking about these as 3 different fights. Instead, we can create one single, unified defense plan that makes us stronger against all of them at the exact same time. And here it is, your 5-point defense plan. It's not rocket science, right? It's about being smart and consistent. First, use the right cleaning products. Second, build a culture of real hand hygiene, not just a squirt of sanitizer. Third, focus on air quality. Fourth, make staying home when you're sick a clear, supported policy. And finally, encourage vaccinations where they're available. See? Each step reinforces the others. When you boil it all down, it really comes to this. A strong, resilient environment isn't about one magic bullet. It's built on a foundation of using smart tools, practicing vigilant habits, and creating a shared culture where looking out for each other is just how things are done. So there you have it, the top 3 everyday threats, and a clear 5-step plan to take them on. The knowledge is here, and the strategy is actually pretty straightforward. The only real question left is the one you see right there. Your plan is ready. Is your environment?